Like,
Yeah, those people are clubbing hard down
right.
there at Four Below.
Yeah, and that kind of plays into like Riddler and all of that, like how he kind of, is able to uncover a lot of this corruption, and he kind of makes these people pay, with the guy with the rats, which was really really well done and pretty unsettling.
Some sick jokes and sick torture. Like
Right.
it was not. What was this? A PG? Was this PG
I
13?
think it was PG-13, yeah, but and it pushed the line, man. It definitely towed the line in that department. I mean, this is definitely like the most unsettling Batman film we've seen.
PG 13.
It definitely nails that. Yeah, but I think my favorite scene was the funeral scene, when they're in there and he has the bomb strapped to his neck, and like that whole sequence was great because it's like he's like, I'm not the guy with the broken nose or not the district attorney. He's like in there and he's got the bomb strapped to his neck, and Batman's like trying to like help him solve the puzzle. And then eventually he's like, I'm not giving up any names because my family's gonna die, my friends are gonna die if I say this. So like, I'd rather just take it to my grave. And it's like, he's like, just, to keep the system alive, and it's very
Yeah.
interesting that they would put that in a film like this, just because it's like, that's very real. And like, the idea of bribery and blackmail and these things are very real. And I think that like having that, it helps really kind of service the story as well, just because, it shows that like this whole thing is much, much deeper than even, Batman had assumed. And that's like the telling of a great crime film, when you just, when the character just slowly becomes, is trying to just solve a small mystery, but then slowly gets in over their head with something much deeper, much more sinister, and much more corrupt. And that was something I thought was just such a breath of fresh air for the Batman character and for Batman films. And I would love to see more of this kind of, thing. And that's kind of, I guess, my biggest complaint with this film is that it strays away from that in the final act and just kind of divulges into the Dark Knight, a Dark Knight remake, essentially. And the reason I say is just not maybe not a remake, but just it emulated Dark Knight, with the bombs planted in the city. It's very much like the fairies sequence, or even Bane when he plants the bombs in Arkham in The Dark Knight Rises. That's exactly what I was thinking in the movie. I'm like, oh, we're really going with the bombs planted again. Like, we can't come up with something better than that. I was like, come on. Like, I just thought that was cheesy and like.
But it's not one bomb, TJ. It's like multiple bombs.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Bane did too. Bane remember, he had the bombs on every bridge to trap people in. Like, at least he had more of a plan. It was just like, he was just like, we're going to just flood the city. I don't know. I was just like, and I feel like that wasn't alluded to enough either. It just kind of came out of nowhere.
Gotham was affected that much by water. So this was definitely something new. I was like,
yeah,
flooding the city. But I'd say favorite scene would either be when, I mean, of course, Selina Kyle, she goes back to kill Falcone, and Batman's at the same time trying to stop her. So you're getting a mix of like her kicking ass, he's kicking ass. Let's get that badass hallway fight scene.
Yeah, that was great.
Either that one or when he was in the police station with Gordon and all the cops, and they're pissed at him. They're like, "You should let that guy die," and then they had to like chase him out, of course, which led to maybe one of the plot holes, his Batwing suit.
Yeah, and he falls like so like dramatically and just gets right up and runs away. I thought that was pretty silly too. I thought that was
he ate shit.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is, I guess, a good base for where Batman would be 2 years after. Like, he's not creating any progress of his job and especially even equipment. I guess maybe Alfred is not as involved, or there's no Mr. Fox. Making these designs.
No, there's no Fox, but also I think a lot of it is too is like, they were trying to kind of show the amateurish side of this Batman, that he's only in year 2 and he's kind of figuring things out, and like not everything's perfect, but it's like, I feel like they could have made that fall a little bit more believable, because like he literally hits like a bridge with his parachute and flies like 50, 100, probably a couple 150 feet probably, and hits a trash can or whatever in the top of a car and like literally like just limps off, and then the next scene he's fine. Like, yeah, Batman's durability in this film is just kind of, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit with it. And I mean, it's whatever. It's a superhero movie, but like at the same time, if you're going to make this a gritty, hard-boiled, crime film, then you got to have that level of realism throughout the whole film. You know, you can't just pick and choose when you want things to be realistic and when you don't, you know, because then it's like you're confusing the audience in that way, and it's not a good kind of confusing.
It does make sense, you know, why, I guess, you know, he has that shitty bat wingsuit and he's just, you know, driving a motorcycle and like his jacked up car. You know, we really only see it once, but we see that thing perform similar to the Tumbler, but definitely another Batmobile on screen that we love to see.
Yeah, I mean, the Batmobile looked pretty cool. It was pretty slick, and it was interesting how it had no gadgets. It was literally just like a really fast car with a turbo engine on the back of it. You know, there wasn't any guns coming out, and that's the thing. I was fine with that because like the Tumbler was just a little too over the top in the sense it was literally just like a tank. It wasn't even like a car. It was a straight up tank. Like. And it was not discreet at all. Like, and they kind of play with that in this film when you hear that thing rev up and then it just kind of lights up and you're like, oh man, that's been there the whole time. He had this set up knowing that they were going to try and run away. So like, that was pretty awesome. And